Good morning, Clark County voters and Facebook. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Steve Sanson, and I'm president of Veterans in Politics International and Nevada Veterans Association. Today, I stand before you to address a matter of utmost importance: the integrity, accountability, and justice that form the foundation of our legal system. These principles are not just ideals, but the bedrock of public trust. They must be upheld by anyone seeking to lead our justice system. With this in mind, I urge you to closely examine the record of former Clark County District Court Judge William Kephart as he campaigns for the position of Clark County District Attorney. Mr. Kephart's tenure as both a prosecutor and a judge has been marred by troubling cases that raise serious questions about his commitment to justice. Let us begin by the case of Fred Steese. In 1992, Mr. Kephart played a pivotal role in prosecuting Mr. Steese for a murder he did not commit. I say again, for a murder he did not commit, despite clear evidence proven Mr. Steese's innocence, including proof of his whereabouts at the time of the crime. Mr. Kephart pursued with a conviction. Decades later, the Nevada 8th Judicial District Court issued a rare order of actual innocence, declaring that no reasonable juror would have found Mr. Steese guilty based on the evidence. Consider the cost of this miscarriage of justice. The death penalty was on the table. Taxpayers spent $35,000 annually to incarcerate Mr. Steese, totaling $735,000 over 21 years. Legal fees amounted to $1.3 million. In addition, an additional $1.4 million was paid in compensation for the wrongful conviction. This case represents a failure to prioritize truth over conviction rates, a failure that cost an innocent man 21 years of his life and burdened taxpayers with millions in expenses. Similarly, the case of Christine Lobato underscores systematic flaws in Mr. Kephart's approach to justice. Ms. Lobato, an 18-year-old girl at the time, was wrongfully convicted of a brutal murder in 2001. There was no physical evidence linking her to the crime scene, and credible evidence placed her over 150 miles away. 150 miles away at the time of the murder. Her conviction was overturned 16 years later after being incarcerated in prison. Has anyone of you out there ever been to prison? Gang rapes, gangs. If you weren't a racist before you entered prison, you're gonna be a racist by the time you stay in prison. Being shanked, have to commit a murder just to survive, or be a part of a gang to be protected. Always constantly looking over your shoulder. Don't know if you're gonna live that day. That's prison. That's where William Kephart put this innocent woman, Christine Lobato, and Fred Steese, knowing damn well they were innocent. Thanks to the efforts of the Innocent Project and the dedicated attorneys who exposed the flaws in her prosecution. The costs of this injustice are staggering. Taxpayers spent approximately $400,000 to incarcerate Ms. Lobato. A civil lawsuit resulted in a $34 million settlement. These cases are stark reminders of the devastating consequences of prosecutorial misconduct. Even more troubling, the actual perpetrators of these violent crimes remain free. And both cases are now deemed cold cases. That means while Mr. Kephart was busy putting innocent people behind bars, the real killers, you know, the ones that actually did the murders, were walking amongst us. That's justice for you. The Nevada Supreme Court has noted prosecutorial misconduct in at least five of Mr. Kephart's cases over a dozen years. One is too many, but he did 5. This includes improper comments during trials and the withholding of crucial evidence. These are not isolated incidents. They reflect a pattern of behavior that undermines public confidence in our legal system. As district attorney, Mr. Kephart would wield immense power over the lives of individuals and the safety of our community. So, he locks up innocent people and let the murderers walk amongst us. That's safety for our community. We cannot afford to entrust this responsibility to someone whose record raises profound concerns about fairness, ethics, and accountability. The role of a district attorney demands a leader who champions justice, not merely convictions. It requires someone who upholds the highest standards of integrity and ensures that every case is handled with care and impartiality. I believe Mr. Kephart falls short of these standards based on his record. His record, not mine. His record. Justice is not just about punishing the guilty, but protecting the innocent. It ensures that our legal system remains a beacon of fairness and truth. As we consider the future of our community, let us demand leaders who embody these values and work tirelessly to uphold the principles of justice for all. You know what? At one time, I considered Bill a friend. But after learning about these injustices, I could not sit idly by and let this go unaccounted for. Our legal system is a huge circle. Our legal community knows that these injustices, from the JEA, a judicial executive assistant, to our Nevada Supreme Court justice, they all know about this. Yet, instead of holding Mr. Kephart accountable, like how they would hold you and I if we broke some type of law, what did they do? They have repeatedly, and we as a community have repeatedly elected him to a position of power. He was Las Vegas Justice of the Peace for many years, and he was an 8th Judicial District Court judge until Crystal Eller took him off the bench. It is time we say enough is enough, Clark County. You know what? If any one of you think that I am sitting here doing something immoral or wrong and I'm picking on Mr. Kephart, you guys don't know what it's like to be incarcerated in prison for a murder, a crime that you did not commit. If you have a member of your family that was in Fred Steese's shoes or Christine Lobato's shoes, a neighbor that was in Fred Steese's shoes or Christine Lobato's shoes, and went to prison, when the prosecutor know that these people were innocent but prosecuted them anyway just because they want to get a little check mark on their record and advance their career, and you allow this to go on without any type of accountability, you are just as guilty as they are. Because you are not going to know what it's like to be locked up and to be incarcerated, the stress, the agony that it must play on your psyche, knowing that you're going to prison for a crime you did not commit, and the prosecutors that put you there get away with it, and everybody in the legal community knows that this is going on, but yet refuses to do something about it, and elect these people to the bench time and time again, knowing that they're criminals with a robe. You're just as guilty as they are. It is time we set a new precedent in Clark County. If you do any of these crimes, you should not be elected to anything. You should be incarcerated. And for a prosecutor to do this, supposed to be an officer of the court, and has no accountability for this, is shameful. And if any one of you out there defends him, you're just as guilty. Until this comes knocking on your door, you're not going to know what it's like. So I urge you, Clark County, if you don't believe what I'm saying, go and look into it. Look into the Fred Steese case. Look to see who the prosecutors are on that case. Look to see that this guy, William Kephart, hid evidence from the court. Look on the Christine Lobato's case. Look and see this guy, William Kephart, prosecutorial misconduct. Go and look for yourself. That's justice. And hold this man accountable for what he did. Veterans in Politics has filed 2 bar complaints against him. Nobody else has. In the legal community, you would think somebody would have some balls to go do it, but they don't have any balls. Like former Supreme Court Justice Mike Cherry said on our show, that the state bar, the Nevada State Bar, only goes after the little guys. They won't go up against the big guys. They won't go up against a big law firm because they have no balls. And that's not justice. We need justice in our legal system, Clark County. We really do. Because if we don't do something about it today, when will some prosecutor hold a loved one of yours and put a loved one behind bars for a murder or any crime and mess up their entire life? They have a criminal record. They can't hold a job. They can't get a job. They're evicted from their house. They lose their family. They lose their wife. They lose their kids. They have no life, or they get killed in prison. I mean, come on. In the Fred Steese case, William Kephart wanted Fred Steese to be dead. The death penalty was on the table. And the man is innocent. And Bill knew that. So nobody will get it until it knocks on your door. Right? What happened to preventive maintenance? This guy wants to be your next Clark County District Attorney. Are you going to allow this to happen? Are you going to give him this much power again? He should be locked up for what he did. Until it knocks on your door, Clark County, you're not going to know. And then we're idiots and we go to the ballot box and we vote for them and put them back on the bench. Because we do no homework on these elected officials. We do no homework on these judicial candidates. We just see a pretty name or a common name. And we keep going and we keep going and we keep going and elect them and elect them and elect them and elect them. And what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. But you're not going to get a different result. So you're insane. So Clark County, I urge you once again to look up William Kephart. Look up those cases. It's right there. It's easy to find. And do your homework. Educate yourself. And be an educated voter. Don't be a stupid voter. Because you don't want this to knock on your door. You don't want your son or your daughter or your cousin or your wife or your husband to go to prison for a crime that they did not do. And then the prosecutors hide evidence. You don't want that. Because if you vote for this guy to be a Clark County District Attorney, That's very shameful. Clark County, my name is Steve Sanson. Again, I'm president of Veterans in Politics International. You need to get a hold of me. I'm at 702-283-8088. Love to get your call, and I'll take you exactly where this evidence is. And all you got to do is go to the Supreme Court website, go to 8th Judicial District Court website, Google William Kephart, Google Fred Steese, Google Christine Lobato, and it will pop up. How easy is that? Be smart. Thank you for your time.